Hello guys and welcome to this video. Today I'll be sharing possibly the nicest watch I've ever built. This is based on a Seiko SPB071 Prospex dial, the Prospex PADI reissue, the 62 mass dial. It's got a samurai case, it's got an NH36 movement, it's got sapphire, it's got ceramic. It is a custom built watch for my friend here in Dubai called Panda. He contacted me at NamokiMODS Dubai and he requested I build a watch for him with this particular dial. Now, I always say when you design a custom watch, the first thing you should be looking at is the dial. And this one was heavily inspired actually by Loomshot's builds, who, if you follow NamokiMODS online, no doubt you've seen one or two of his videos. The Comet mod that he did is actually with the exact same dial as this. And the Blood Moon, I think, watch had a similar case to this. So in a way, it's a nod to Loomshot, and of course, in this particular configuration, a nod to Rolex as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go through the watch. Of course, I'm going to show you all the parts. I'm going to show you a bit of the story videos I post on my Instagram in building it. But like I said, this is probably my favorite watch I've created yet, and it's all down to that dial. So let's have a look at that dial a bit closer. So the special thing here, of course, this is a rare dial. I'm not sure if it's even possible to buy this watch new anymore. I mean the 62 mass reissue that this dial comes in, but it is a gorgeous dial, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's the blue-black fade, the kind of deep sea fade. This is similar to the James Cameron deep sea Rolex edition. And that inspired the bezel choice, but I'll come to that later. So there's firstly, it's the fade, then it's the texture on the dial, those lovely wave patterns, which those Seiko do other turtle dials, for example, in this blue-black fade, they never have that same texture. So in certain light, you just get that glimmer of those wave patterns all the way through, which looks really, really cool. And the third thing that is really special about this dial, which is a bit unusual, is there's actually different color loom around these markers. So the best way for me to show you that is, of course, with the loom shot. So here it is charged up, and I've just put it in the dark corner of the room. So you can see we've actually got blue loom on the 12, 6, and 9, as well as the standard Seiko green loom on the other markers, and of course the loom is very strong. We've also added the green loom bezel, as you can see, and the matching Mercedes hands. But hopefully you'll appreciate that it is a loom monster at night, but in the day it also punches above its weight with that gorgeous dial and case. So let's go on to the case actually, and I'll show you everything else, because this is also the first time I'm using this case. This is the Seiko Samurai conversion case from NamokiMODS. A similar case is also available from Watch and Style and perhaps a few other vendors. On the back, we've actually got the special thing with this case is that all SKX parts, apart from bracelets, fit this case. So for example, this is the sapphire case back, which I use with a lot of my mods. Most of them are SKX cases, and of course it fits just fine. It's a bit more rounded than the rest of the case, but you'd want that on the back of your watch anyway, where it's going to touch your wrist. The case kind of flanks and lugs are super angular, and this is especially interesting to see, and I'll show you here without the bezel on it. It's a really odd shape. It looks super uncomfortable, super unusual, but actually once everything's together, as you can see here on the right, it does look like it matches. We've also got quite angled crown guards. Everything's quite big, bulky, heavy duty. This case is, I believe, 43 or 44 across the case. It's a bit hard to measure because it's got this indent, which is another interesting feature on this outer side, kind of mirroring the cutout for the crown guards, or where the crown would be. You have this kind of cutout. It's all very angular and masculine, and the case is certainly no homage to anything but Seiko. So I always try and mix up a bit of Seiko and perhaps nods to other watches. This one is clearly the deep sea inspired watch, so that's why we've gone for the Mercedes hands and the bezel as well in ceramic. but it could be one of Seiko's own models as well. So you want to get that balance right, and this is, I think, a great execution of that. So that was the Samurai conversion case. We've got an S-signed crown. Of course, this is screw down. The bezel is a sub-style bezel. Of course, we needed to keep that sub theme going through, or the deep sea theme. We've also got the loomed ceramic bezel insert. I believe this one was from DLW. I'll put all the links to the vendors in the description I'm mentioning. We've also got a double dome sapphire. Now this is a clear coated AR sapphire, and that's I always go for clear coated sapphires generally, especially if you've got a very exquisite dial like this. So you don't want to hide any of that effect or any of the reflections of that gorgeous dial. So that's why we always go for clear. If I was doing this again, I might even be tempted to use one of DLW's ultra clear sapphires, which has coating on both sides, so it should be almost invisible. You can see some reflection off this one, but that one should be even better. But anyway, moving on. Inside we've got a chapter ring, and you will notice actually with this dial, because it isn't designed for these cases, the text at the very bottom where it says Japan and the model number is slightly covered up, but the markers all fit neatly inside this brushed chapter ring. And of course we've got some nice DLW Mercedes hands, and these I love. The finishing on them is just fantastic. The size, the proportions, everything really match well. Now the bracelet, this of course does look awesome on a rubber strap as well, but the bracelet we decided to go for, it's really heavy duty. It's quite a chunky bracelet. This one is from NamokiMODS. You'll see their logo there on the clasp. I believe this is their only Samurai bracelet. Now with this case, you do have to use a Samurai designed bracelet to get the end links to fit right. But this is the chunky Samurai bracelet that Namoki have, and it is a real beast actually. It definitely makes this feel like a tank. And in fact, let me give you a wrist shot so you can appreciate the size of this watch, and we'll go through a few of the build steps as I mentioned. So I've not gone mad. I just wanted to show you a SKX or 5KX size watch. So this one's 42.5 on my 7 3/4 inch wrist. And now let's switch over to the deep sea. There we go guys. So this one is clearly bigger and bulkier. The actual dial, of course, and the chapter ring and many of the other parts are the same size as the green watch I just showed you just here. In fact, let's see if I can slide them on next to each other so you can kind of appreciate the size of the Samurai case compared to the more standard SKX or Seiko 5 Sport case. But on my 7 3/4 inch wrist, which is around 19.5 centimeters in circumference, and it's quite an oval shape, this fits really well, and it doesn't really, though it looks Rolex inspired, it doesn't look like it's trying to be that. So there's a nice wrist shot for you, and of course let's give you a loom shot on the wrist as well. So there you go guys, you can see it glowing up with those gorgeous blue elements as well at 12, 6 and 9. Now of course this is a well lit room, so it's gonna really dance at night and give you something to appreciate that dial. Though you can see it of course in the dark, it's not going to be as clear with that fade, so it's really cool that they've added those extra loom elements, and we've encased it in that loom bezel as well. Now let's have a look at the build process here, because it was my first time using this part. So you can see the parts there, and you can see how I started off. So we started off essentially with the dial, which I bought from a private seller in the US. In the end, I tried to buy it on Watch Parts Plaza, which is a great source for dials. However, it's a bit hard to find things in stock there. So I actually ended up contacting a private seller on the Seiko Mods Facebook group, who very kindly offered to send me this from the US. And yeah, we got there in the end, and it was well worth the trouble of going through that. So if you're interested in finding a really unusual dial like this, that is where I would start. Now the Mercedes hands were from DLW as mentioned. It is sitting on top of an NH36 movement with the date wheel removed and the date the day wheel removed and the day gear removed. So when we actually use the watch, you'll see you can hand wind it. You can pop, oh sorry, that was too far. Let's put it in the first position there. And if you turn it clockwise, nothing happens. If you turn it anti-clockwise, you get the quick set date as normal. And then pull it all the way, second stops, and you can set your time accurately. And just pop it back in and it's good to go. So this is, though this watch was actually designed for another, I think it's a 6R15 movement, it does fit, everything fits fine, and it's a simpler installation. Case, and we added the brush chapter ring, which does frame the dial very well. It does cut off a little bit of text here at the very bottom, but it's almost not noticeable. That was again inspired by the Rolex, because they have the brushed kind of rehaut or chapter ring where it says Rolex, Rolex, Rolex usually around it. Of course we didn't want to go that far, but it's yeah, it sinks the dial in and makes it just appear a bit more chunky. The bezel is the sub-style bezel, and you can see that going on there with nothing on it yet. And then of course the insert, and that really got me excited as soon as I saw this come together. It really reminded me of the Deep Sea, but also with those changes to make it a bit more Seiko. But the dial is the star of the show here by far, and it's been an absolute pleasure making this watch. So thank you first of all to Panda for interesting me. That's not his real name of course, but his nickname's Panda here in Dubai. Thank you for entrusting me with this build. He contacted me at NamokiMODS Dubai on Instagram, and we took it from there. I was really excited to build a watch like this, so I really appreciate the support, and hope you all enjoyed watching at home. And thanks to Loomshot as well for inspiring such amazing designs, and that we can take inspiration from and create these awesome watches. Thanks all for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.